Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen monthly report looking at the current development of Star Citizen's persistent universe, where that is, what work's just been done on it, what's being worked on now as we move into August 2020. I wanted to highlight a few development pieces first. Back-end services worked diligently throughout July to make some improvements to existing technology that will increase the number of concurrent players and provide a higher quality experience in-game when logging in. They also finished major refactors to the variable service and item caching system that will have the same benefits. These new services will be coming in future releases. Well, they've been working on some creatures, and this now requires input from other departments, so creatures require AI and other support beyond just the art and concepting of them. They're actually putting them in the game, so they're creating a dedicated creature team now. They've started to design some high-level plans for a number of existing large-scale initiatives that will be hitting the persistent universe in the near future and beyond. And I think this might be in sort of regards to AI fleet battles, Idris fights, that sort of type of mission, but also whatever they've got planned instead of CitizenCon this year. Production wrapped up on Pyro 3 and 4, and the white box assets of Pyro 6 were further developed as well. Pyro 5 is currently on hold due to it requiring gas giant tech, which is being R&D'd alongside Crusader. Basically, they'll need to finish off at least the first implementation of Crusader, it seems, before they continue further development on that gas giant, Pyro 5. The Crusader Mercury has moved to the final art stage, which involves iterating on feedback, adding textures, and adding the levels of detail. Alongside this, grey box work continued to hook up animations, implement interactions, set up internal and external doors, and set up the comms calls, as well as getting the ship designed and sort of like optimized for flight cameras and visuals. Very excited to see that Mercury Star Runner in 3.11. There were lots of location-based works as well beyond what we just highlighted. So Horizon and Pyro continued to get developed. They've been creating documents outlining the general tone, potential storylines, environmental storytelling, all that sort of stuff to help sell the intended experience there. They also began constructing a narrative timeline for the persistent universe where they can map out projected storylines on everything from a local level to events covering multiple systems. Horizon's design is making great progress, with the teams there finalizing large parts of its layout. A handful of rest stops as well received new layouts, and plans for additional content were made with the mission team. They've been testing new derelicts and locations on Microtech's moons. Props had been working on supporting upcoming cargo stations with an array of shop fronts and dressing assets, including shop kiosks, stands, shelving, and counter assets. Additionally, the rework of the Millimile High Club is progressing, and it's going to be sort of all in line with the new bartender metrics. Work was finished on Microtech's Simpod, which is at display at the factory line shop at the moment. New props for Grimhex were kicked off, and support was given to cooperative locomotion systems as well. Area 18 is getting a lighting update to have a day-night cycle for its artificial lights. They're planning on updating cockpit and pilot lighting as well, so they want lighting as optimized as possible. The environments team said a couple of things. Last month was exciting for the organics team. We've been waiting for a long time for some of the last remaining features of the organic shader and the planetary editor to be finished, and this month a big update came in. The planetary editor now features brushes. So a brush is essentially a collection of ingredients that can be painted onto a planet. In the past, the environment art team painted color, objects, and ground textures separately. With this update, the team can now assign all of those to one brush and paint them all at the same time onto a surface, and this can all be changed quickly on the fly. The organic shader also received huge improvements in terms of terrain asset integrations, so the team can now tell each object to pick up either the color of the bedrock or the terrain. This can be done for the whole asset or selectively for each material layered onto an object. So you're going to get much better looking terrain, I think, is the idea there. Some ship stuff. The Origin 100 series is nearing completion as well, with technical exterior work and holographic cockpit buttons currently in progress. Work also continued on one soon-to-be unveiled ship, which I'm assuming is that Esperia Talon, almost certainly that Tavaran light fighter. Though they do also mention another ship that won't be seen for a while and is currently in the grey box stage. So that could be a variant of the Talon, or It could be a whole new ship or vehicle, because we know they probably want to do a Xi'an cargo ship. We know that they probably want to do a mobile refinery ship as well. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what they pull off all for that stuff. Alpha 3.10's new aerodynamic system was iterated on as well during the PTU phase, following feedback surrounding wind and how it interacted with the new system. Values were modified and handling tweaked to make flying more intuitive. They also balanced the forces and torque on each ship to improve roll speeds and amend stall speeds for certain ships. Turbulence was also worked on, but this won't be implemented until a future patch. Looking to the future as well, they worked on docking, reaching a point where they can dock a Merlin and a Constellation. Probably should have had that in the highlighted section, but I didn't. It's here. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of the video. That's important, having parasite docking. It is, as we saw from Inside Star Citizen a couple of weeks ago, it's sort of like a semi-automated process, but it's good that they're working on it. We also saw them working on the Constellation Taurus as well, that variant. Hopefully that will be in for the end of the year. Vehicle tech guys looked into vehicle entrance and exit times, investigating on how to speed the process up, and with speeding animations up there. They also worked on the sign distance field shield tech. When complete, that's going to conform to the sort of ship, those shields, even if parts are blown off. Time was spent linking gameplay systems like shields with sign distance field collisions. These improvements not only optimize collision impacts with shields, but also allow gameplay to match the visual sign distance field tech. Additionally, the team ensured the collisions work with the parts detached, part repaired, and attachment sub-items such as turrets. They've been working on improving the radar and scanning experiences for vehicles and on foot as well, including experimenting on how capital ships could interfere or hide among smaller ships. But I like the way they said sort of scanning radar on foot was mentioned there, because we need ways of navigating on the ground. I want ways of being able to do a lot more on the ground and scanning things, potentially scanning other players, finding out other players' names while on the ground. If I want to scan them, find out if they're a criminal or whatever, that's going to be very useful. They also added a method to utilize sign distance fields to generate an accurate cross-section surface of an object. This allows them to plan how ambient signatures from nearby objects like stations or asteroids can interfere with the cross-section. What else have we got? Weapons and item stuff. Work continued on the Bearing GP33 grenade launcher. They've been tweaking its rig and its ammunition. Weapon Art also finalised the Bearing BR2 shotgun and began roughing out the Gemini A03 snipper rifle. For ship weapons, the Bearing size 7 laser repeaters were completed, and they began work on some new turrets. Very, very excited for anything that's a new turret based. A pass was made on Bearing size 12 torpedoes to include a destroyed variant as well. They worked on several helmets and armors that will be revealed in the coming months. Please be Titan suits. Please be one of them. That'd be amazing. They implemented the first version of trading app stuff for 3.10. You can now send money to another player. You can now send merits to another player as well. It's going to be really, really, really useful. It's a big game changer in my opinion. Engineering continued their work on the Gen 12 rendering systems, moving over to some of the new tech or otherwise preparing for it. So there was general work done to CPU and code optimization, memory optimizations, and asynchronous spawning updates were made to improve on-demand load times and efficiency. Collision detection was improved as well. User interface stuff, they implemented new UI and targeting changes, and have also been updating fonts, things like that as well. They continued converting legacy systems to the new building blocks tools. This month's focusing on the lens and comms calls. They also progressed with elevator panels, preparing them for release in the near future. But you're going to see a huge amount of UI updates in the coming months. There are several upcoming features for 3.11 and beyond that they're working on as well. The lobby service was reworked for better support. They are working towards multi-user private lobbies and private group messages. VFX completed pre-production tasks for Alpha 3.11 and 3.12, including the refinery decks. They want these large containers with molten liquid being poured from one another there. We do know that the refinery decks have been pushed back to 3.12 at this stage. They're no longer in 3.11. That's where we're getting the cargo decks though. Fire propagation also made progress this month, with code prototyping allow for propagation between entities and voxels across multiple surface types. The VFX team made a little statement. Although still firmly in the prototyping phase, we managed to roll a flaming barrel across an interior surface and watch it set fire to the interior. A little bit worried that there's slightly slightly pyromaniac-y there, but I suppose if you work with fire in games, maybe you want to burn the game world down. The team in Frankfurt worked to convert the old CPU particle effects to the latest GPU particle systems. This will bring both visual and performance improvements to some of the older CPU effects. AI stuff, so there's a reasonable amount of AI stuff which is more relevant to the persistent universe than it is Squadron. I suppose it's used for both. AI combat stuff, so work has progressed on dodging and aiming with appropriate animations for NPCs when they are on the ground. AI will also be able to sort of like change fire modes for their weapons, as well as find and refill ammo at appropriate containers, or via looting their teammates or bodies or whatever. So these items will then be stored in their loadouts when they pick them up. So if they need ammo, that's going to run down, and then they need to pick up new ammo, and the system will know that they've got those items on them. So when we actually are able to loot them, which hopefully the new UI systems are working towards, then they will actually have exactly what they are supposed to have on them at any given time, if you see what I mean. Ship AI saw various updates to their logic and monitoring, as well as extending the way that weight is defined and calculated for their ships and loadouts. Bartenders and social AI have seen a lot of work. They're being sort of used to develop general functionalities that are going to be used for all vendors in the persistent universe. So they're going to be the social gold standard when they're finished. The first pass of the feature that connects the different bars to the shop services was also implemented. This will enable the vendor to validate the price of items in relation to the player's available cash and complete a transaction once goods are delivered. Progress was made on the patrol path functionality, which allows instant path calculation for short distances. This significantly reduces delays when triggering specific cutscenes or animations for a much smoother experience. So this can be a bartender serving you, but it can also be you sort of getting in the way of something else that's going on in the future. This sort of like interrupts there. They fixed many of the problems with NPCs standing on usables, RIP, standing on chairs, and they worked on chow line usables. So this is going to have NPCs queuing for food. So I suspect that's actually going to be used more for capital ships, and well, I suppose it could be used for just general food shops as well. Maybe that sort of stuff, but I was thinking more canteen and on the Idris crewmen queuing for food, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how that's implemented. Animation worked on force reactions such as knockbacks, knockdowns, twitches, and flinches. Obviously, some of this stuff is going to be used for the medical gameplay in the future. They completed work on pre-visuals for zero-G push and pull, further developed grenade and object throwing, and undertook tests for high-gravity moves. Work continued on some new weapons as well. Time was also dedicated to developing lockdown safety plans for when mocap shoots can begin up again, and they are working on some of the sort of mocap backlog that they have at the moment. And that's it for this video. I'm interested to know what you think, though. Do you think work on Proro means that we could see the system by the end of the year, or at least some of it? Could we see higher player counts on servers in the short term? What exciting events could we see in the persistent universe? Are you excited to see the new ships, whatever they are, and whenever they come out? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. We have a ship giveaway for August. It's for a Mercury Star Runner, the sort of hybrid data running cargo ship that's supposed to be live and flyable in Alpha 3.11. To be in for a chance of winning that, all you need to do is comment on any of my Star Citizen videos made during August 2020. If you want to further support my channel, then consider becoming a YouTube member via the join button. This will also get you some exclusive content and insight each month. Also, if you're looking for a VPN, I shill for NordVPN. It's a mega affordable and effective solution for added security, privacy, and internet accessibility. Follow the link below in the description for a discount. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse.